The grand jury in Raleigh, North Carolina has indicted John Edwards very serious crimes.
This is such a mess. I mean, we have to keep in mind, this is one of the greatest political downfalls ever.
John Edwards burst onto the political scene in 1998, elected to the Senate, ran for president in 2004, but it was brought down by these charges that he now misused campaign funds to cover up his affair with Raleigh Hunter, who is a campaign worker, and hide the fact that she actually fathered one of his children. Remember, he asked a campaign aide to say he was the father of Raleigh Hunter's child. In fact, he was. Now he is facing federal charges. So we are going to begin right away with Bob Woodruff down in North Carolina. Bob?
Well, George, we're hearing some new news just now that it looks like John Edwards has been indicted. We've been waiting this morning. We confirmed earlier that they were going to indict him unless he actually plead to this deal to try to get an easier way, but that would actually make him a felon if he actually did that plea. Now it looks like he's going to fight it. The indictment has now been done, and now it is up to that.
It is expected that John Edwards will be indicted today after a 2-year federal investigation, calling on more than 100 witnesses, seeking to connect the former senator to an allegedly illegal scheme to cover up an affair while he was running for president.
This case boiled down to money, hundreds of thousands of dollars that were allegedly used to seclude and support Hunter so Edwards could continue his campaign. The federal investigation of Edwards began a few months after the National Enquirer had cornered him at a Beverly Hills hotel. A few weeks later, in an exclusive interview with Nightline, Edwards finally admitted to the affair but denied paternity of Hunter's child.
A report has been published that the baby of Miss Hunter is your baby. True?
Not true. Not true.
Edwards also claimed to be in the dark about the expensive scheme to keep Hunter out of the public eye.
I had nothing to do with any money being paid and had no knowledge of any money being paid. And it wasn't being, if something was being paid, it wasn't being paid on my behalf.
But the lies began to unravel when Andrew Young, a one-time close aide to Edwards, appeared before a grand jury. Young had once falsely claimed to be the father of Hunter's child and, along with his own wife and 3 children, went into hiding with Raleigh Hunter, while Edwards continued to pursue his political goals.
Did John Edwards know where you're going?
Yes.
Does he know why?
Yeah. He might not know where exactly we were living, but he knew about the money, he knew about the methodology, and he knew about the sources.
Now, we do know that John Edwards' team had been fighting, trying to negotiate with the prosecutors on this for a week or so. He'd wanted to make this a misdemeanor, not a felony if he were to accept it. He has now said no, he will not take this as a felony, so therefore he'll be indicted. He is now going to fight till the very end. George?
You're right, Bob. Neither side would budge, so the prosecutors have brought the indictment. Joined by Dan Abrams, our legal analyst. And Dan, this is a kind of a complicated case, but it's going to turn on the question of whether these these funds that went from 2 of his friends, Fred Barron, his lawyer, and Bunny Mellon, the heiress to the Mellon fortune, the funds that they used to give to Andrew Young, who was saying he was the father of Raleigh Hunter's child, are campaign contributions or just the gifts of a friend?
Right, because remember, you're allowed to give a gift. If the goal here was so Elizabeth Edwards wouldn't find out about it, and a couple of friends say, we want to give you money so Elizabeth won't find out, that's not a campaign violation. If, however, this money was being given not so Elizabeth Edwards wouldn't find out, but to help John Edwards' presidential campaign, then if John Edwards also knew about it, that could be a crime.
And the Edwards team, see, they're going to fight right now, and we know that John Edwards himself was the one who wanted to fight the hardest. They're going to say, well, this kind of violation has never been prosecuted before.
And they're right. This is a very unique and aggressive prosecution. Prosecutors would probably say that the behavior here was so egregious that this was a case worth testing. But the real fight is going to come over whether this was a campaign contribution. Because remember, typically what you're talking about is the John Edwards 2008 presidential campaign fund and money being taken out of that and used for personal reasons. That could be the type of case you'd ordinarily hear. Here, no money ever made it into the campaign fund. What prosecutors are going to say is they effectively cut a deal, money to the people who needed to get the money, keep the campaign fund out of it altogether, but they say that that's still a campaign contribution.
Okay, Dan Abrams, thanks very much.